Hello and welcome back to AMD Racing and to a very special video because we've just hit 10,000 subscribers. Yeah, 10k. I can't really believe it and I'm so blown away. When I started this channel, I never even believed we would hit 1,000 subscribers. But here we are at 10k, and that's all thanks to you, the amazing community that has built itself around this channel. And I'm so grateful that you are here. And to celebrate, I really wanted to do something special, so today I'm going to show you where the magic happens in these videos, or in my racing, which is my sim rig. And you can probably already tell that it's a little bit of a special one, and I'm gonna do my best to show you everything in as much detail as possible, while also talking about the channel and this amazing journey that we've been on to get to 10,000 subscribers. To do that, let me grab the camera so I'm actually able to show you properly and you don't have to look at this face the whole time. Also, I hope that throughout the video the sound will be good because I'm recording on my phone. I know the microphone in that is not very good, and so I'm using the microphone that I normally use for my recordings for the videos, and I'm trying to position that in a way that I always have some good sound when I'm showing you around the rig. By the way, this microphone and the stand I actually used for something else before. Because on the opposite side of my rig you will actually find my piano. Yes, I do play. I'm more of a hobbyist, so definitely not a classical piano guy. Actually started with keyboard and I'm terrible with sheet music, so I mostly play by ear. And well, the microphone I did use because I actually had a music channel before this one where I did piano covers. But dealing with copyright takedowns and the music industry restrictions in general just wasn't fun anymore, and it started feeling tedious instead of fun and enjoyable. So I decided to move away from that and eventually focus on something that I could create freely, which brought me here to sim racing. And that philosophy of creative freedom, well, that's actually shaped everything about this channel, including what I'm about to show you. This is my completely DIY wooden sim rig. I know it looks rough around the edges, but it's incredibly functional. When I decided to upgrade from racing at my desk, which I did do before, and you can see my desk here, which is also where all the editing stuff happens, well, I could have gone for a commercial rig, but A, where's the fun in that? Plus, the hobby gets expensive very fast, as you probably know. So this DIY approach kind of mirrors my whole channel philosophy. I do things my way, authentically, without trying to be something that I'm not. I really love making guide-focused content because explaining things is one of my strengths, I think, and I feel like I can genuinely help people improve. And I also love showing off races because I want to bring you along for the experience, share the excitement, the mistakes, the victories, not just show off. And judging by your comments and feedback, it seems like you really enjoy both the guides and the racing content, which is really awesome for me. Let me now show you each part of the setup in more detail and tell you about the channel as we go. Let's start with the seat, which is actually just part of a gaming chair that I bought used for very cheap. It's actually very comfortable for long gaming sessions, and the someone that I bought this chair from actually made this aluminum base for it, which, well, it's a little bit wobbly and I had to make some adjustments. I mean, there are some parts in the middle already which help with stability, but I had to do some wooden parts as well. But it works. It's not fancy, but it works. And this make it work approach really reflects my situation with the channel as well. I'm doing this as a hobby, as most of you probably know, and I'm working full-time and also have a family, so my wife and a dog, and well, my time is incredibly limited. And the time that I do have gets split between actually racing and making videos. And honestly, I don't get to race as much as I would love to. But here's the thing, making videos actually gives me more satisfaction than just racing alone ever could. When I make a guide video and someone comments that it helped them improve their lap times or just made them safer on the track, or when we have a nice race and get some discussion going in the comments, that connection really means everything to me. Would I love to do this full time someday? Absolutely, it's a dream of mine. But getting there requires not just a lot of hours of work, which are hard to come by if you have a full-time job and a family, but it also needs the channel to actually bring in the money so you can maybe dedicate some more time to it. And while of course 10,000 subscribers sounds like a lot, and it really is, it still doesn't bring anywhere near the amount of money that I would need for me to be able to move away from my full-time job at some point. But who knows what the future might bring. I'm just gonna continue doing things my way and see where we'll end up. Speaking of doing things my way, let's now take a look at my wheel and wheelbase. This is my Fanatec CSL DD, which is a 5Nm wheelbase and probably the most budget and entry level you can get in the direct drive market, at least in the Fanatec ecosystem. It originally came with the round P1 wheel, which you may have already seen lying around on my piano, and that is the wheel that I still use if I do rally driving or if I drive street cars in Assetto Corsa Evo, for example. But if I drive race cars, I usually have this McLaren GT3 wheel on, which is also kind of budget friendly, but still a very good wheel to me. I especially really like all the buttons, knobs and encoders that you have on this wheel, and it's really more than enough for what I do. In terms of force feedback, yes, I only have 5 Nm of torque on this wheelbase, and it could definitely be more, but for now it's fine for me, and I also didn't want to strain this wooden frame more than it already is. Because if I can show you this from the bottom, the wheelbase is actually just screwed in through the wood, and that barely secures it enough to be stable with the 5 Nm that I have currently. I personally also like the a little bit lighter force feedback, and it's really enough for me in the games that I play, so LMU, AC Evo, and back in the day Forza Motorsport as well. And speaking of that, I've talked about it a little bit in a recent video about Forza Motorsport. The channel has come quite a long way with starting with Forza Motorsport, but then moving more and more in the sim direction. I'm really happy with where we are at the moment with Le Mans Ultimate and Assetto Corsa Evo. That doesn't mean that this isn't gonna change in the future, but it is where I'm currently very comfortable. Speaking of the channel, I want to talk about something I rarely bring up, which is sponsorships. I've had some sponsor offers over the months and years that I've been doing this, and I've turned them all down in the end. Not because I don't want to grow the channel, but because I never want to promote something that I don't genuinely believe in. Plus, a lot of the sponsorships come with contracts and restrictions about what I can and can't create. And just like I didn't want music industry constraints on my music channel, I don't want a sponsor contract limiting what I can make for you. I do this because I love it, and I want to create content that's either genuinely helpful or at least entertaining to you, and not because I have to promote some product that doesn't fit the channel. Maybe someday I'll find sponsors that actually align with what we're doing here, sponsors that would enhance the channel rather than restrict it. But enough of that rather boring topic, and back to something maybe interesting or at least funny to you. You may have already spotted them. Here are my racing gloves. And once again, those are probably not what you expected. Once again, I went cheap and didn't go for some very expensive racing or even sim racing gloves, but actually just bought some very cheap biking gloves online. And these also are fingerless, which I personally like more when I'm sim racing. Let's now move to my pedals, which are the Fanatec CSL pedals with the load cell kit. So I do have a load cell brake on this. And you might notice already where those pedals are mounted. It's not the same wooden material that I used for the rest of the rig, because this is actually part of an old IKEA table I still had around and didn't really use for anything. And I really thought, well, that could really make for a good base for this pedal set. In the end, I'm not quite sure if I would do it the same way again, because, well, it was kind of hard to deal with this because this table is actually hollow. So mounting the pedals without breaking anything on this table was actually kind of tricky. But also it kind of forced me into certain dimensions for the whole rig, which also probably wasn't the best idea, but it works. And at least if I use the pedals, there is no flex either in the pedals or the whole rig. It's very stable actually, even if I put a lot of force onto the brake pedal. Speaking of the brake pedal, it's actually modified a bit. I removed some of the elastomers and put in a custom spring, which I once again ordered online. And that I just did because I didn't like that initially the brake really didn't have any travel at all. It was just pure force. Now with the spring added, there's actually some travel going on, which I think really helps my braking feel. The clutch I don't really use all that much, contrary to the throttle pedal, which you can see is worn out quite a bit already, but it overall just works very well for me. Of course, one downside of building the rig like I did is that it is completely built for me, so there is no real adjustability. So yes, well, if I sit in the rig, it's perfect for me. If someone else wants to step in, it's kind of difficult, which is something that I did think about changing by rebuilding the rig, or at least partly, but I haven't really found the time for that yet. By the way, feel free to let me know in the comments both what you think of my rig and also just share what you are using at the moment and what you like and don't like about it. I really would like to hear from you, as always. The community that's grown on this channel is something that I never expected, but I'm really grateful for it. And you've turned something that could have just been a kind of lonely hobby into something that genuinely enriches my life. And now I shortly want to talk about support, which I rarely bring up in my videos. So I do have YouTube memberships available, as well as a custom donation link. You'll find them in the description as always. But I want to be honest, right now it's just if you want to support the channel further than you already do by watching and liking the videos. The membership currently is basically just early access to videos and some badges that you can use. And I also want to do more of this for members of the channel, so showing off my setup and also maybe some behind the scenes stuff of editing and producing the videos. But I also want to ask you, what would make YouTube memberships more valuable to you? What could I add that would actually give you more for the support that you give me? I also want to be crystal clear here. Memberships are never necessary. I'm never gonna paywall my helpful guide content that I do, for example. Just watching the videos, hitting the like button, leaving a comment, that all genuinely helps and makes me incredibly happy already. But if you do want to support the channel further, memberships and the custom donation link in the description are probably the best way to do so. But enough of that already, let's now quickly take a look at some more details of the rig before we take a look at the construction of the rig as a whole. You have of course already seen my monitor that I use for sim racing, which is an MSI one, 21:9 aspect ratio and 1440p resolution. But I don't exclusively use it for sim racing. This actually, because the rig sits quite close to my desk, is moved between the rig and the desk so that I can use it for editing and all the other stuff that I do on my PC when I'm at my desk. That also, by the way, includes working for my job, because I can at least partially work from home. But moving back to my rig, another thing that you probably have already seen is this keyboard that I use. It has a trackpad, which is kind of helpful. It's just a very cheap Logitech one. I've seen a lot of sim racers recommend this online already, and I've had it for a long time already before even sim racing, but it's really practical for using it on the rig. Back behind the wheelbase is a USB hub and also some power outlets for all the stuff that I might use additionally on the rig. Speaking of which, I actually did buy this sequential shifter at the end of last year when I was doing more rally stuff, and it was mounted on the rig here on the right side, but it turned out to be just a little bit too much in the way for my general stuff that I do, so I decided to remove it for now until I find a better solution of mounting it. And this flimsy wooden construction here on the left side of the rig, that is actually what I use to mount a webcam to exclusively film my wheel, to overlay that onto the game footage, if you remember that video. But it turned out to be kind of a hassle both to set up and then also to get working in my editing software, so I haven't done much with that since that particular video, sadly. And then there are my Sennheiser headphones, which I use for sim racing. These are very comfy and I can wear them for a long time, and they really do have good sound. And about the wooden construction of this rig as a whole, I'm no carpenter by any means, and you probably can see that if you take a closer look. But I try to make it as sturdy as possible and really fit my needs. You can see, if you take a closer look, that some things are a bit rough. But you know what? It works, and I can modify it wherever I need to if I have the time. This tinkering with a rig can actually be quite fun and is a big plus of a self-built wooden rig, and it kind of not only reflects the rig, but also the channel. It's always a work in progress and I'm trying to improve. I'm also always very open to try new things, be that new games or new video formats, and just see how they resonate with you, the community of the channel. Speaking of, one thing that I get asked about quite a lot is live streaming. Why don't I stream? And would I want to? I mean, I did do that in the past. The honest answer is, right now, with my limited time, it's very difficult. Having a couple of hours free time, which you need for live streaming, in a row is tough to manage at the moment. I'd love to do live streaming in the future, because the live interaction with you is actually really amazing. But I would need more consistent time blocks to make it work properly. For now, I have to be strategic of how I spend my hobby time, and that's both racing and making videos, and creating guides, and those race videos feels like the best way to help or entertain the most people. So that's my setup. Wooden, slightly chaotic, but completely functional. It's not perfect, but it's mine, and it's been with me through every race, every guide, and every video on this channel. As I said, just like this rig, the channel is a work in progress that I'm constantly tinkering with, always trying to improve and be a better content creator. Thank you once again for 10,000 subscribers. Thank you for being part of this journey, for your comments, your support, your patience when I don't upload many videos because I don't have much time. I know this has happened not only once before. Just thank you for being here, whether that's from the very start or just very recently. I really do appreciate it a lot. Let me know down in the comments when you started watching my videos for the first time, and also maybe what makes you come back. Thank you also to everyone who financially supported the stream, be it through memberships or donations. But of course, also thank you to everyone who is just watching and engaging. I'm grateful for all of it. Here's to the next milestone, whatever that might be. This hobby, this community, this wooden sim rig, it's all part of the journey. So until next time, keep racing, keep learning. Thanks a lot for watching. I've been HD Racing, and I will hopefully see you in the next one.